Are you ready to branch out, to take a leap of faith, to love yourself and others fully? Then let go of whatever no longer serves you to take action now on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. Erica will energize and excite you to power up your passionate dream that sets your soul on fire. With Erica's E3 approach, equipping, empowering, and enlightening yourself so you can be yourself for yourself. Get ready and get rooted to live a life without regrets, without what ifs, without should haves, and especially without empty feelings from a life unexplored. This hit show helps you build powerful and intentional roots to live it up, love it up, and let it go. Get fearlessly ready and powerfully rooted in your yes with your host, Erica Gifford Mills, and be fearless about your more and stand in your yes. Now on Get Rooted Radio.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Erica Gifford Mills, and you are listening to Get Rooted Radio, living it up, loving it up, letting it go, right here on Transformation Talk Radio. A big shout out to my producer today, Emily. Emily, how you doing? I'm doing well. I've got spring fever. I'm telling you, it was so nice here about a week or two ago, and now it's back down into the low 30s. So I'm ready for that spring to come and get us. So what I would love to jump right into today is having Jean Walters joining me and telling me a little bit about herself and also how she got involved in this wonderful opportunity. But before we jump to that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her background, but then we're going to explore a little bit more and really get into today's episode about overcoming our anxiety. So Jean Walters has been at the forefront in the movement for personal transformation, clarity, and truth for decades. Through her writings, consulting, coaches, and Okasik readings, her message and purpose are inspiring as the peace and positivity that she exudes. Jean's intention and commitment to the deepest truth has brought her to share her wisdom and guidance to tens of thousands of clients and students. She is an internationally best-selling author, and her syndicated radio show, Positive Moments, has been broadcast in 120 stations nationally. Her expertise is personal and spiritual development, and she can ignite a person or team and supply tools to express the highest energy and achieve success. Thank you so much, Jean, for joining us on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much for allowing me. I'm very excited to be with you today.
Well, I'm thinking, I apologize. I'm a little tongue-tied. I clearly haven't been speaking enough today. Before we jump right in to the episode, which we titled The Journey from Anxiety to Peace and How Meditation Can Help, tell listeners how you really got started in all of this.
It's been a lifelong journey. When I was a child at around 9 years old, I was like throwing a ball against front steps and catching it. And I noticed there was this light that came through the top of my head and it went all the way down through my body. And the light was just beautiful. And it was very loving and kind. And it was just brilliant. And I knew that it was who I am. So I began this try to understand what it was. I didn't have resources to go to. I didn't have, my parents wouldn't have understood it. So I was kind of on my own. So that began the actual journey to truly understand the light that we all have within us. I happen to see it. And many people, there are people who do, but many people don't, but it's still there whether we see it or not. But that's the light of spirituality, and that's the light of who we truly are, our true self. And when we allow ourselves to be calm, to be relaxed, and just, even take a moment to just close our eyes and meditate, we can begin to see that light again. We can begin to connect with it. It's always there, so we're not disconnected from it. But to really connect on a conscious level, it takes some awareness. It takes some exercise, some practice, because we practiced all our life being in the world, being in a very gross, heavy vibrational energy of the world. And so we forget that we're really there's another part of us that's deep and true and brilliant and enlightened and all of these beautiful things. And so to me, it's about learning how to get back there, learning how to remember that that's our true source, and that the world is just a place that where we experience and where we learn, but who we are is always the light. That's a long answer to a short question.
No, I think that's a beautiful answer. So, as I mentioned, the title today is The Journey from Anxiety to Peace, and how medication clearly I need medication, and how meditation can help. Medication might be able to help as well.
Yeah, true.
But, we're going to discuss practical steps to handle fear, embrace struggle, and eliminate worry to become happy and free. And we will also discuss what meditation is, how it can help, and why it's important.
Yes.
And I think, Jean, really all anyone has to do is listen to the news or read a newspaper or go online to know we live in a fear-based world.
Yes.
So how do we recognize and release anxiety and fear?
First of all, we have to recognize that if we were going to the movies and we were seeing like a battle scene on the movies and we got all entrenched in it, like, oh my gosh, I hope this person doesn't get killed. What we're doing is actually seeing a mini version of the world, so that we have all these things going on in the world. And so we can get enraptured by it. We can get caught up in it, and we can forget that there's another part of us that's always, always peaceful. So what we have to do essentially is retrain our mind to move back into this place of what I call centeredness, or quiet, or just a place where we really can connect with, again, the light, the truth of who we really are, the peace. There's always peace within us. It never goes away, but we can be diverted into all the activity and drama of the world and then forget that what we have inside, a ready source of peace. And so it's a matter of training our mind to keep going back to that, keep going back to that. And then once we do that, we have the answer. We know what we need to do to manage whatever it is that appears to be going on in our world. And so that's what meditation really is learning how to discipline the mind to go to a quiet place. And then even if you feel like you're in the middle of a big drama, if you can take 10 minutes and just go to a stillness, you're kind of opening a door into your greater mind and allowing answers to show up. So it might be that you end up calling someone, or it might be that you end up, asking someone for help, or there could be a myriad of different answers that occur. But we have to keep practicing that so that we can make that kind of our default. So that we're always going back to this place of peace. And then we begin to understand that the drama that we're living in, or supposedly, we're living in, listen to the news and they'll tell you all about a drama. But when we understand that there's a drama going on, we can decide how we want to interact with it. We can just as easily learn how to let it go and get back into the peace, because I guarantee you, the answer will show up for you if you do that. The way to get through whatever it is that's going on will show up for you if you do that. And so it takes some discipline.
Yeah, you got to retrain that brain, right? I mean, yes, and I think that is sometimes the hardest part, because we get so wrapped up, and some people thrive in that, or they, yes. I don't want to say thrive. They really get to a point where that's all they know. So they think this is normal.
Like an addiction. Yeah, like an addiction. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of that, is getting into that victimization. How does victimhood factor into anxiety and fear?
Oh, it's perfect. It's a perfect scenario for anxiety and fear. We all have, I guess, as Carolyn Mays has said, that we all have an archetype within us of victim. And so we learned that early. We learned it from our parents. We learned it from our surroundings. We learned it from, all the little dramas and things going on. And so we can easily fall into that. But the thing is, when we do that, I consider it like a lie. There's something going on here that we can maneuver. We can understand that if we assume responsibility for what's going on in our world, then we can find the answer to what to do to deal with it. But the victim mentality is such a strong brain pathway. So first of all, we catch it. Oh, I'm doing the victim thing today. We catch it. And then once we have awareness to the victim mentality, then we could begin to maneuver around it and realize that that is just a story we've been telling ourselves. And the whole idea of story is a big issue because as it relates to anxiety, we've all told ourselves stories, like it's not fair that this happens or et cetera. Those kinds of stories where, they did this to me. Okay. And when we do that, we sort of dump any sense of responsibility that we might have. And so when we do that, we basically start telling ourselves the story. We get hooked up into the story, and then pretty soon we're miserable. We're very, very miserable. And since we can't really manage other people, we can only manage ourselves. We're in deep anxiety at that point because we're stuck. We can't manage anybody but ourselves. So we have to kind of swing the whole thing around again and go, what in me is creating this scenario right now? And then what in me can begin to change it.
And I think that's important. It's looking within, and our anxiety is a liar, and we need to fudge fear. I didn't say the naughty word. Don't worry. I won't do that to you, Emily, but we gotta punch fear in the face and keep moving forward. And that's hard. I'm not saying that it's as easy as just doing that, but it's when we can sit with the feeling and sit with ourselves for a moment so that we can identify and recognize what's going on and find out, why do I have this anxiety? Why do I have this fear? When we sit there for a moment and go, and like you said, something will come to us, but you can't ignore that. You have to sit with it. And then you do have to get rid of it. Otherwise we won't be able to move forward because we're all going to have struggles and we're all going to have changes in our lives.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's important. We don't
have to call them bad or good. I mean,
exactly.
Things are going on.
Because even good things can be stressful. I mean, you think you're buying a house and that's so exciting and this, or you're starting a new job and that's wonderful. It's the job you want, but it still comes with fears and anxieties. That doesn't mean it's bad, or you're starting something new and you're like, I'm so excited and I'm so scared to death at the same time. And that's okay. Well, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk embracing struggle and getting through change. But before we go, Jean, tell folks how they can reach you.
Yeah, they could easily reach me through my website, which is www.spiritualtransformation.com. And on that website, I have all the information on how to reach me, spiritualtransformation.com. And I would love to share with anyone. I also do have a gift that I'd like to share.
Yes, tell us about it.
Well, I have three chapters of this book that we're talking about, the journey from anxiety to peace. I'd like to send that up free to whoever contacts me through my website, or Jean at Spiritual Transformation is my email, Jean, Jean at spiritualtransformation.com. And I'll be happy, once they contact me, I can send out that 3 chapters of the book, and maybe they'll get some nice pointers for just the beginning of the book. And then if they need more and if they want more, they can get the whole book. It's easy to get.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jean. You are listening to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Are you ready to branch out, to take a leap of faith, to love yourself and others fully? Hi, I'm Erica Gifford Mills, founder of Balance Symmetry and host of Get Rooted Radio. If you answered yes to even one of the above, then this 12-week course is for you. The Rooted Life Group Coaching Series will give you the tools, techniques, and strength to be intentional in your pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. Find out more about this program on my website, getrootedradio.com.
40 is not just an age, it's an energy. I'm Jennifer Hazard, the host of Single and 40, a show on love, life, and everywhere in between. Tune in every second and fourth Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio as we share candid stories and expert insight with, of course, a sprinkle of humor. If you know somebody that would benefit from our conversation, share the show with them. You can also connect with us by following us on our social media and our YouTube channel, or visit me at www.jenniferhazard.com.
Tune in to Cosmic Conscious Vibration, Unlocking Your Inner Universe on the second Tuesday each month at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on Transformation Talk Radio. I'm Reverend Dr. Kimmy. Together with Dr. Pat, we are raising awareness about the significance of raising our collective vibration through living a more mindful and conscious life. For more, visit reverenddrkimmy.com.
Let your dreams and not your doubts drive your decisions. Often, like 99.9%, and let your dreams lead the way. What would change and what could be possible for you? I'm Beth Larson, host of the Flourish Frequency Show. Join me every third Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, or visit my website, bethlarsoncoaching.com, for archive shows. Join me every third Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, or visit my website, bethlarsoncoaching.com, for personal Flourish Frequency.
Welcome back to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. If you missed any portion of today's episode, you can catch it on getrootedradio.com. That's getrootedradio.com. Don't forget to subscribe online to receive the latest news, events, specials, and words of encouragement. Go to getrootedradio.com. Welcome back to my guest, Jean Walters. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
I am so happy to be here. I love it.
So during the last segment, we talked about releasing fear and anxiety. And this segment will be getting into moving through change and embracing struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about embracing struggles and then coping with that change. And because we know the only constant in life is change, and it can be scary. So tell listeners your tips for moving through change.
Well, change is a wonderful thing, and it's constant. We're in a moving, changing energy of the world and of the universe. It never stops moving. So we're either expanding or we're decreasing. So we get to choose which one it's going to be. But change is the operational system that we're in. And when we look at change, we can be very upset about it and like, oh, I love my job and I want to keep it forever, but nothing lasts forever. So we have to be willing to recognize this change that's going on is for us. It's to help us. And why is that? Because as we move through life and we change, we expand, we become more experienced, we learn more, we become more resourceful. There's so many ways that it helps us. So we have to be willing to look at that. We have to be willing to recognize what this change is really about. What's it moving us to? And not to be hanging on for dear life to what was, because that's impossible to do. As I say, the universe is constantly in motion. So if you could stop for a minute and just go, ask yourself some questions. What am I moving toward? How is this change helping me? Even if on the surface, it seems like it's just throwing just cataclysmic drama in my way. Stop for a minute and go, what is this really about? I like connecting the dots because like my son and I were talking about, I should have a new car and he thought I should have this and that on my car. And then the very next day, something fell off my car and was dragging on the ground. And I went, okay, enough already, So I ended up getting that reattached and so forth. But I thought, okay, he's planted the seed. And now I'm working the seed. And so then I talked to my other son and he was telling me these are the right cars to get. And so everything's in motion right now for a different car. And I'm watching it happen. And it was like before when I was just driving my car and I was just like happy. Now those seeds have been planted and there's movement taking place. So the thing that we want to recognize is that somehow or other we've been planting seeds for change. We might say, I love my job, but wouldn't it be better if I worked 3 days instead of 5 days? Or wouldn't it be better if I made more money? Or wouldn't it be better if I had a title? And pretty soon those seeds of change begin to take root. And then there's something that happens on the surface. So if we can stop for a minute and recognize that this is all sort of like a play of energies that are sort of coming into fruition. And then we can recognize that there's something good happening, even though on the surface it might seem very dramatic and all that. Then we have a chance to really move forward in a state of peace, in a state of control. And not to say that we're always in control of the circumstances, but we're in control of ourselves. And who we are is this beautiful vibration of peace and joy. Our natural energy is joy. And all you have to do to realize that is look at a new baby and you'll see joy. The only time they're really upset is if they're hungry or, they have dirty diapers or something. The rest of the time, they're grinning at everybody. And so that's how we started out. We started out like that. And so what happened in the meantime? And I ask people that all the time. What do you think happened in the meantime? What did you get hooked into that changed the scenario for you? So we all have that, and we can move back into that if we want. Like I say, though, it takes some effort and some discipline. So it's not snapping your fingers, although things can happen very quickly if you really have a sense of intention with what you're doing. So I was groomed by a mom that was completely anxious, that she was kind of a wreck. And I remember realizing very early that she's in fear all the time. And I decided at a very young age, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I have to find another way to do this because I'm not doing it her way. So I was a bit rebellious, but at the same time, it was a rebellion that served me because I was on the search, and that is really basically what brought me to where I am today, because I don't get into the drama. If I am for a minute, I stop myself and go, whoa, you caught yourself, and then just go back into like, what's really, really going on here? And when you ask those kinds of questions, you begin a new path in life. You begin to understand what's really, really going on here, and how you manage to, find yourself in this dilemma or whatever it happens to be. But we plant seeds all through our life, and they are not bad seeds. They are just seeds to help us grow. Remember, we can either expand or we can decrease, but we're always in movement. So we get to choose which one is going to be. And that's really important because that puts us in charge of what we want, but it doesn't put us in charge in how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so
I think that's a good point, right? Yeah, it's a good point, is that sometimes we don't get to decide when and how.
Yeah.
And it's our reaction to it. Just like things might not be moving at the pace you want them to move at, but that could be for a reason.
Yeah.
And
always.
if we make that, again, take a moment to sit, to breathe, to calm ourselves, which is going to get me to my next question, are there methods to develop the calm perspective that you're talking about?
Yes. Well, I think the first thing is really acknowledging that something good is happening right now. And I think that we get challenged with that because we have so many ideas of what's bad and what's good. So if we just start with something good is happening, I don't know what it is, but I'm willing to learn what it is. And that allows the mind to open to possibilities then. And so if we can spend some time every day, just even to start with 5 minutes and just be calm, just allow ourselves to move into a space of calmness. Like if we close our eyes and just kind of go deep into ourselves and just be quiet, we can feel that there's a place that's always there that's calm. And so we lose that perspective because we don't pay attention to it very often. We're too much into what bill has to be paid or what's the next thing that has to happen. So I suggest that, even with some light music, to just take a few minutes and just move into a place of calm and just watch your breathing for a few minutes. Just observe the breathing in and out, and recognize the rhythm that goes with that. And pretty soon we're in a different kind of a rhythm. And then that allows us then to sort of back up a bit and be able to observe. Now we can be at an observer state instead of being in it. Instead of being in the drama, we're in the observer state. And that's when we can be open to answers coming through for us. So that's just a method, but it's a method that can be done every single day, or even at a stoplight. When you've got a couple minutes at the stoplight, just take a moment and breathe, and then find the rhythm, and then just back up a little bit and let yourself be in the moment, completely in the moment, without all the judgments that go with it. The judgments are what cause us problems. Oh, this is terrible. Oh my gosh, this is going to be awful, and of course, that's where my mom lived. She lived in all that. And so I observed her. So she was my first teacher. she was the one I think I learned the most from, because I observed her and what her thoughts were, and then how it affected her body. And I could see that it was causing her to be ill. And so we know that if we observe enough, we can recognize when people are actually creating illness because they put themselves in such stress for so long, Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that is, I mean, it's important. Like now, if any of you gentlemen are listening, don't go up to your significant other, especially if she's a woman, and say, just calm down, because that might lead to something else. But
Yeah.
being that calm state, right? It does. And there's lots of different ways you can do that. And I think, as you said, the breathing, right? Also making sure that we are realizing that this is happening, but don't fall into that victim mentality, because that's just going to reproduce more fear and anxiety. And then you're in this cyclical cycle. Cyclical cycle. Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
But you're just spinning, right?
Yeah.
But I think it is important to realize that we have control of where we can go. We might not have control of, as you said earlier, everything that's happening, but we have control over our reactions. And that is where I think sometimes we get lost. I even will make that an I statement. Sometimes where I get lost is you do the knee-jerk reaction, and instead of just taking a second, counting to 10, doing whatever,
and just start asking yourself some questions too, like, I wonder how I can do this, or I wonder what resources I have available to me, or I wonder how I can change all this, or I wonder how this can actually work in my betterment, and just start allowing there to be another way rather than
So let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about all things meditation. But before we go, Jean, tell listeners how they can learn more about you and your services.
Yes, well, connect with me. You can reach me email-wise at jean@spiritualtransformation.com. I have all the stuff available on that website and my books and all that good stuff. And then also, just the website itself is spiritualtransformation.com. So either way, you can find me. I'm here. I'm available.
Thanks, Jean. I'm Erica Gifford Mills, and you are listening to Get Rooted Radio. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Are you ready to branch out, to take a leap of faith, to love yourself and others fully? Hi, I'm Erica Gifford Mills, founder of Balance Symmetry and host of Get Rooted Radio. If you answered yes to even one of the above, then this 12-week course is for you. The Rooted Life Group Coaching Series will give you the tools, techniques, and strength to be intentional in your pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. Find out more about this program on my website, getrootedradio.com.
Join me, Michael McGinnis, on You Can Do It, where we inspire growth, ignite potential, every second and fourth Friday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time on Transformational Talk Radio. If I can do it, overcoming a traumatic past and using this as a launch pad to discover what life is all about, myself, and to become my full potential, you can do it too. Let's learn together how to master life, which is learning how to master growth. Come with an open mind and a willingness to identify and deal with what's holding you back. Let's learn how to put a major ding in your universe.
Are you trying to build something new or break away from something that no longer serves you? Are your batteries drained or struggling to hold a charge? Let me, Erica Gifford Mills, help empower you to make and maintain the positive changes you are aching for. Together, we will make a plan for your growth and new path that you can accomplish. Visit my website, getrootedradio.com, to schedule your free Empower Hour today.
For provoking conversations between not one, but two psychic life coaches, tune into Truth, Wellness, and Psychic Adventures. Unedited and unfiltered talks with Polly and Kristen, because life is unedited. We discuss spirituality, promising a generous amount of laughter, and help callers work through their questions. Connect with us by calling 1-800-930-2819 every second and fourth Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Are you wanting more?
We're back on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Don't forget to visit getrootedradio.com to listen to a replay of this episode, sign up for helpful tips, and learn about upcoming events. That's getrootedradio.com. Welcome back to my guest, Jean Walters. Thank you so much for being on the show with us, Jean.
I love it. Thank you.
So during the last two segments, we've been discussing getting past fear and anxiety and embracing struggles and change.
Mhm.
One way to get through these is through meditation. So what exactly is meditation? How does it work? And, are there different types?
Yes, there are lots of different types, but meditation is a sort of a mental training. And what it is it allows, you're actually taking control of the mind and you're telling it where to go. So instead of just being victim to the mind, I think the saying is that the mind is a terrible leader, but it's a great servant. So what we want to do is recognize the mind as a servant, and then we are the master. We meaning that element within us, that divine element, that consciousness within us is the master. But we have to remember that because the mind will run off in different tangents if we let it go. So when we find, even when we're in a peaceful state, this meditation is something that needs to be practiced every day, because when you're in a place where you really need that quiet, you have to have built that connection so that you can go there easily. So it's not something we just drag out when we're in chaos. We have to practice it every day so that the mind, it's like a habit that we're developing. We're practicing going into a place of quiet. Now we have that already within us, but oftentimes we get so focused in the outer world that we forget that we have that. But if you ever look at a sleeping baby, they can be like, having a great time and then conked out like that. And so what we want to do is find that place again. The easiest way to do it is just to slow down our breathing and get into a rhythm. Now, we all have a rhythm within us. Everybody has their own rhythm. And so we want to teach our body to go with this rhythm, this in and this out, and pay attention to the breath. And then as we sit in meditation, once we get,
I'm not sure if it's me, but I think Jean froze a little bit. So we'll give her a second to come back. But as she's saying that, there is so many things with meditation and many different types.
That request triggers something. Were you going to say something?
We lost you for a little bit. You froze up. So we missed a part of what you said, but what we were getting into is different types of meditation, because as you said, everybody's an individual and everybody has their own rhythm. So one type of meditation may resonate with one person, but not with another. And so what are the different types of meditation? Anywhere like guided meditation or just sound meditation, sitting peacefully? Because I know for me, sometimes my brain is like 30 different computer tabs open and there's music playing and I don't know where it's coming from.
That's like,
and so how
turn off all those tabs.
Yes.
Turn off all those
so
tabs.
What are some of the different types and how do you recognize what one might be best for you?
Yeah, I suggest, well, first of all, in my podcast channel, I have lots of different kinds of meditation. And the reason for that is I want people to experiment with different meditations so they can find the one or two or the three that really help them to get into that deep space that I'm talking about. So it's just as you said, I mean, we all have a different modality as far as our rhythm and so forth. So I would suggest, first of all, Buddhist meditation is about breathing and observing your breathing, and then beginning to observe your body in the middle of the breathing, and then taking yourself in deeper and observing where your mind actually is. So that's a nice introduction to meditation. And my students generally really like that one a lot. But another one would be guided meditation. And again, the purpose of guided meditation is to help your mind acclimate to being guided to that place, that deep place within. So that's a good way to use it. But then after that, as we go through these different meditations, what we will learn is that we can learn how to quiet our mind. We're teaching ourselves how to quiet our mind. We use these different methods to learn how to do it. Now, another way would be to play some soft music in the background. And then that music the rhythm of that music and the tone and everything will help us move into a quieter place. So we can start with, I'm suggesting that people experiment a little bit, and then they will find the way that works the best for them. There's a lot of different guided meditations that can be really wonderful. Sometimes you're being guided to stand with a master, and then you're quiet and allow the master to hand you a message, and then you take that message and receive whatever that is. So again, that's another way to do it. But what we want to do is, it's all about getting quiet and letting go of the outer world so that we can be in our inner world. And if we do that, then we will be guided. We'll be guided throughout the day, all day long, we'll be guided. And then we can really find the easy way to get through these little trials and tribulations. We can find the easy way, because there always is one. And the more we can identify with our peace and the less we identify with the chaos, the more we can move into that more quickly and easily. And it's where we're supposed to be, really.
Yeah. And I know you had mentioned earlier about, needing to do it every day, just like any habit. You need to get you need to get conditioned to it. And I don't think some people, that scares them, right? A little bit, to say, well, do I have to sit for, an hour every day, 20 minutes every day, 5 minutes? Like, and I think that's a good question on how do I ease myself into it so that you can get into that group.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I always suggest 5 minutes to start with, because 5 minutes is doable. And, when we start getting antsy and then the mind starts moving off into what I have to do and the to-do list for the day and all that, then we can't go any further at that point. So we can do 5 minutes, and then we can, after maybe a month, we can do 10 minutes, but we have to kind of follow our own rhythm with it. And but I'm suggesting, and this is not a competition. It's not like I meditated for an hour, so I'm better than you. No, it's not that at all. It's that we want to learn. We're actually training our mind. And so if we go to a marathon or something, we train the body, right? We run and we lift weights and we do all kinds of things to get our body ready for this marathon. Well, that's what we're going to do with meditation. We're not going to run a marathon, but we are going to learn how to get the mind quiet to where we can actually receive answers. And so we have a channel that opens up, and it's there for every single person. Sometimes you've had these little glimpses of insight, and you go, I have the answer. That's great. What we want to do is have that channel open so that we can have that insight available to us all the time. And when we do, but it takes some awareness and some discipline to get the mind to where it can be quiet enough that we can have that awareness. So there's a lot of brain scientists that have proven, though, that meditation will improve your health. It'll improve, it will keep you from getting an Alzheimer's. It will, a lot of things happen because of meditation. You sleep better because you spend some time meditating. So there's a lot of things.
You read my mind, right? Yeah, I was going to say, so we've told people that meditate, let's try it. Meditation can help with your anxiety, with your fears, with overcoming that change, whether it's good, bad, indifferent, right? And I was going to ask you, what are the benefits? And you got ahead of me. So I think that's great, though. It's, reducing the stress, reducing your anxieties, better sleep, better health. What are and of course, those are all important reasons to do it, right? So what are some of the other benefits? And I guess, why is it important? Because we all know, if we eat better, if we sleep consistently, I don't want to say necessarily sleep more, because getting 12 hours of sleep isn't necessarily that good either. But but if we're, have a healthy exercise, a healthy eating habit, we're sleeping well, we're doing all this, meditation can assist in those.
Absolutely.
Those four things.
It'll make everything else easier, actually. It'll make you'll become a little more aware while you're eating, and you go, oh, I don't want to be eating that. I want to eat that instead. And it's not like I should, because that's another story we tell ourselves, is I should, and I should, and I should. Meditation is not about shoulding, because if you do that with that intention, you really don't get any rewards. So we want to, whatever we do, we want to be very clear about our intention. And in meditation, would you like to have a clearer channel? Would you like to have answers that come more easily? Would you like to have a stronger intuition? Would you like to be able to relax deeply and disconnect from all the stuff that's going on around you? These are all the things that happen when we learn how to meditate, because we're taking our mind and we're moving it from chaos and, all this drama and stuff. We're moving it to a deeper place of quiet. And then when we do that, we're actually shifting awareness. We're opening our mind to something bigger and greater. And we have the answers. We have the answers that we're looking for when we do that. And that's a powerful thing. I just can't even imagine anything more powerful. I mean, you can have the biggest, beautifulest car ever, and pay a fortune for it. And it's not going to give you the blessings that come through meditation. So we have to take this world that's very outer oriented, and bring it in. And then we know which car it is we're supposed to have anyway, or what the answer to the problem really is, or even if there is a problem, maybe there's really not, and we just told ourselves there is, Yeah. Fear is the opposite of love. And so we can live in fear the way my mother did, and it made a mess, or we can live in love, which is the opposite. And how do we do that? We shift ourselves, and we do it purposely and intentionally, and we do it again and again and again and again. And as we do that, we're beginning to change the way we see the world and what the resources are that are available to us to understand what comes next or to be able to deal with it.
And I think that's really important, because when we stop the chaos, things come a little bit more naturally. They come a little bit easier. I'm not saying your life is going to be perfect if you just start meditating, but you will see the change. It's like you mentioned earlier, it's that planting that seed. And once you can start that habit, it's going to lead to other better habits, to reducing your fear and anxiety, which causes more stress, which causes sleep problems, which causes, internal medical, physical problems.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think it's important. It's not about how long you do it. It's about your consistency. It's about the quality. Right. It's about what works best for you. I always tell people, it's like finding a coach, finding a physical personal trainer. What works for one person isn't going to work for you, maybe. That doesn't mean that method is bad. It means that's not yours. And so we need to move on. And so you might have some trial and error as you're going through your meditation experience, and you grow with it. So be patient, give yourself some space and grace to find those. The ones that work for you. You can go out there and just Google it. Go to Jean's website, and you can see a lot of different methods. So I think that's really important.
Yes. Yeah. And it makes your life a lot more fun too, I have to say.
Oh yeah.
Because instead of being all stressed out all the time, you can begin to laugh a little bit more at some of the crazy stuff that goes on, Like I was saying about my car, like we're having this big discussion about a new car, and then the thing falls off my other car. Like, okay, I wonder how that worked together,
Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to discuss some key takeaways of all that we've talked about today. This is Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Are you ready to branch out, to take a leap of faith, to love yourself and others fully? Hi, I'm Erica Gifford Mills, founder of Balance Symmetry and host of Get Rooted Radio. If you answered yes to even one of the above, then this 12-week course is for you. The Rooted Life Group Coaching Series will give you the tools, techniques, and strength to be intentional in your pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. Find out more about this program on my website, getrootedradio.com.
Are you passionate about impacting social change or working towards anti-racism as a society? Are you willing to deconstruct your innermost thoughts, ideas, and beliefs about racism? then Inflection Point Podcast, Cultivating Change from the Inside Out, is the show for you. Join Anita Russell, Mavis Bauman, and Gail Hunter in open, honest, and deliberate conversations every first and third Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, only on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Are you ready to change and grow? Wherever you are in your spiritual journey, I'm here to help. Hi,
Are you experiencing a spiritual or psychic opening? Are an empath?
Cafe of Delight, conversations that
Welcome back to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. If you missed any of the information during the last segments, go to getrootedradio.com to listen to the replay. That's getrootedradio.com. Don't forget to subscribe, sign up for tips and special events and pricing for upcoming coaching sessions at getrootedradio.com. Welcome back to my guest, Jean Walters. Jean, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Tell listeners how they can learn more about you, your books, your services, and reach out for more information.
Okay, well, I have 6 books on Amazon right now, and they're in other places too, but it's most easy, I think, to get to Amazon. And they're all on different subjects, but that are metaphysically oriented. One is how to find your right job, the talent that you have, and what's a great way to use it. Well, and there's different books on. I have one on dreams and how to interpret your dreams, and the world, how to look at the world as a dream, because it actually is. and then there's lots of different subjects that will kind of get you excited if you're interested in getting a little deeper in your life. So that's available. Go to Amazon.com, look at Jean Walters, and you'll start with the book for the Journey from Anxiety to Peace. You'll find it there. And then I do want to tell you and remind the audience that I do have a gift for them if they're interested. I have 3 chapters of the book that we're talking about the journey from anxiety to peace, and it's available to them. All they have to do is contact me at jean@spiritualtransformation.com, and I would be very happy to forward them those chapters. Maybe it will give them the answers that they need for right now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jean.
Mm-hmm.
So during today's episode, we talked about the journey from anxiety to peace. And we've talked about meditation and how all this can have that calming effect on you that you need to get through those changes and those obstacles.
Yes.
But tell listeners your top tips and techniques of how to get over the hurdles.
Okay. One of the things is pay attention to the stories that you tell yourself. We have lots of stories that we told. From the time we were little kids, we started adopting stories. It could be no one likes me, or I'm not good enough, or those kinds of things. And when you recognize the story, I'm not good enough, start asking questions about it. Did I decide that? When did that come up? What was it that told me I'm not good enough? And begin to challenge that story, because the story is just a story. It doesn't really have any more validity than, Little Red Riding Hood going through the forest, So what we want to do is start there, like recognize the stories and begin to challenge the stories, because behind the story is something else. It's something was told to us, or we assumed something, or we made it up. So that's all called the ego, and it lies, it creates lots of drama that tells us we're not good enough, and we are good enough. We're more than good enough. We're wonderful. And every person has that same element within them, that we are just beautiful beings. We truly are. So that's one of the big tips, is just watch the stories, pay attention. And then
thoughts become things.
Yes,
right?
It's totally true. Yes, they do indeed.
Stop that limiting belief and stop that negative self-talk. Yes.
Well, the thing is that we can't really stop anything until we start something.
Yes.
When we, as you know, so when we stop the limited talk, we have to replace it with something else, which would be, I can do this. I can do this. I'm a great person. I've got this done. I'll figure it out. I'll find the resources. I can do it. And so that would be the way we move in a direction that will get us into a nice place of resourcefulness and calm and peace and knowingness and that sort of thing. So that would be a big tip. But another one would just be, as we talked earlier, is just to spend at least 5 minutes every day to just get into that quiet place and begin to explore the quietness that we have inside. Connecting with that stillness that we have will actually open up the door to intuition. And that is your strongest ally is to connect intuitively to what's going on in your world. You'll get the answers that you need if you do that. And that it's so important. It's like worth everything that you own to have that. So those are a couple things that I would say. And then basically it's just remember that the mind is something that has to be managed, that, it will not manage on its own. You're actually, if you came from a family with lots of drama, you're probably going to end up being very dramatic if you follow that path. And most of us do tend to just go along with because we don't know how to challenge it when we're young. We just don't know, like, wait a minute, I don't like that. I'm not going to do that. We don't know how to do that. So we can change anything in our world, but we have to start with ourselves. We have to start with what we're telling ourselves first. And then as we understand that, and as a therapist, you understand this perfectly, that as we understand that, then we can begin to make the changes that we need to make so that we can live a life of great joy and happiness.
It's your decision to be happy.
Yes.
And I think that's sometimes we try to go to that next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Once I get this job, or once I get in this relationship, or get out of this relationship, or make more money, or buy that house, I will be happy. And I think that you can choose to be happy now in your current state, your current environment.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my clients, and she would say that she'd been looking for a job, and I said, "But what are you looking for? What is it that you're looking for?" And she said, pause. I don't know. I said, do you think that's why you haven't found it? And I said, so we talked a little bit about, just give me the components of the job. Don't name it, just the components. And so she said, she told me some of the things, like she wanted to work 3 days a week, and she wanted to work with really happy people that would be easy to work with, and et cetera. So some other things. I said, well, concentrate on that. Because now that you've got that in your mind, there's an intention there. Now you're planting some seeds. And so now when you go to talk to someone, you're going to check to see if this is a pleasant environment, if this is something that I can, use well in my life, because you're interviewing them while they're interviewing you. And don't forget that. It's a two-way street. So anyway, so that helped a lot. So to where then I talked to her again, and she said, I think I've got it now. I think I know what I'm going to do. So that was just a blessing. And it only took about 3 minutes to kind of get to that point. So that's what I mean. If we just stop running around and just start asking ourselves some really important questions, we can rearrange our intention and just move forward in such a beautiful way. And then we're learning from our environment instead of just being knocked around by it. We want to learn from it. Life is just a beautiful exploration. It's like an adventure, and we want to treat it that way.
Oh, I completely agree. And I think it's setting, you said it just a second ago, setting that intention. And if you set your intention for everything you do, right? When you get up in the morning, don't be, it's Monday, it's going to be a horrible day, or I didn't get enough of this, or what did I get? And let's have that positive thought in the morning going into our day, because if you say it's going to be a bad day, guess what? Chances are it's going to be.
There you go.
And we want to set that positive intention through everything we do. So as you're going into, do your meditation, what is your intention? When you're going into your goal setting and your intentions for the year, what is it? What am I going to, and making, you said, asking those questions, not just what do you want? And every time I hear what do you want, I think of the movie The Notebook, when they're yelling, what do you want? What is it that you want? It's what brings me joy, what fulfills me. When did I have those last feelings? And being able to then move forward with that and sit in your calm.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. Very well said.
So Any other last tips before we close out today's show?
Well, just the thing is, enjoy yourself, laugh a little bit. I mean, we have lots of time to figure stuff out, enjoy life, find something fun to do every day. My goodness, enjoy the people that are in your life, laugh together. There's, one of the things in A Course in Miracles says they forgot to laugh. And I think, laugh more, laugh more. It doesn't have to be that serious, really. We can have a good time and we can play. It's all good.
Thank you, Jean, for being on the show today. And I want to thank you all for tuning in to Get Rooted Radio. If you missed any part of today's episode, or if you want to listen again, go to getrootedradio.com for the podcast. And don't forget to tune in the first and third Monday of each month at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Pacific right here on Transformation Talk Radio. Before I sign off, ask yourself if you are living a rooted life. If the answer is no, set up your free Empower Hour call with me. No charge, no obligations. Go to getrootedradio.com to find out how I can help you take action now. And if you're ready to live, love, and let go, join me for my signature 12-week group coaching series, The Rooted Life. This series will assist you in achieving your goals and moving forward by letting go of the things that no longer serve you, learning to love yourself and others fully, and living life to its fullest. Go to getrootedradio.com to learn more about the 12-week series and get your free Empower Hour. Thank you for tuning in. Have an amazing day, and I'm looking forward to the next time on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Goodbye, everybody.